Hey, welcome everybody to a bonus edition of Spin Legal this evening. This is episode 90 with Angela and myself. We are partners at Invictus Legal LLP, and just to let you know, we're going to do a show today on does AI need laws to govern its development and usage. So we'll do a bit of looking at that. And for those who know me, they'll know that I'm also used to be an IT person. So I have special interest in that regard. So let's see where the show goes. Okay. If you need to contact Invictus Legal LLP, you can do so at 905-688-5598. Email Angela via angela@weareinvictus.legal or myself via peter@weareinvictus.legal. And our website is weareinvictus.legal. Read it, digest it, love it, and we'll see you. And if you ever need any questions, we're always glad to help. Even if you don't stay more, ask us a question, we'll happily help, won't we, Angela?
Yes, we do.
All right. Okay, so it looks like your volume's down. I didn't check it.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, no, that's better. That's better. Okay.
Oh.
All right. So does AI need laws to govern its development and usage? I have to say this is a particularly favorite topic of mine. And the reason being is because I used to be in IT and I used to do a lot of what's called business intelligence work. So one of the first uses of artificial intelligence was to enhance business information knowledge for large corporate companies. So in a way, it's a bit of a passion, but also in a way, it comes because I've also liked for many years a science fiction writer called Isaac Asimov. And back in the 50s, he wrote the 3 laws of robotics that are basically a set of rules that are intended to help, to help the use, the humanity and how it would govern, govern the use of robots. So let's try and put these in if I can. Rule number 1 is a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Right? So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2 enhances that insofar as it states that a robot must obey the orders given by human beings, except where such orders will come into conflict with law number 1. In other words, I can't tell a robot, hey, that's a very nasty human being, that Angela Browne, go kill her, because that robot cannot do so, right? And the third law of that, which matters, is this. So let me pop this in. Third law is a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection doesn't conflict with the first and second laws. And ultimately what that means, if you think about it, is because you think about it, a robot's an inexpensive piece of kit, right? These laws, by the way, were written in the 1950s. So perception was that people may have robots to help them clean houses, cook dinners, and things like that. And not necessarily. Asimov wasn't projecting now in the early 20th century. He was more projecting like in the 21st century or 22nd century. So a bit in the future, further in the future. And that was the use of the robots. And he was thinking that robots would become domestic beings that we would have in our houses to clean the thing. Basically be the I guess be the butler for every person on the planet.
I'd love to have one of those at my place. And even have one in the office.
Yeah. At the end of the day, though, that he thought, well, if we were going to have robots to do all these things for humans, we'd need a bunch of rules to govern how robots are used. We can't just have robots willy-nilly going, obey the Daleks. You are prisoners of the Daleks. Not allowed to have that, are we? It's not going to happen. That doesn't happen, does it? We don't want that.
Nor could we have robots go around with buckets of water and pouring them on people's heads when they find them sleeping. Like in offices and things like that.
Okay, I also want to note that Isaac Asimov introduced a thing called the zeroth law of robotics, in which he stated a robot cannot harm humankind or through inaction allow humankind to come to harm, or with the other three laws being subordinate to its new law. Right?
That sounds like something that's probably have to be considered when we're looking at the future with artificial intelligence.
Well, and hey, we're probably, in terms of its public use right now, I would have to say that I've been playing with AI tools, and playing is probably the right word. Playing with AI tools for about 2 or 3 years now. The real experts have been out there in my old former field using AI probably 15 years now. Right? And a lot of people are getting very proficient with the use of AI. And in fact, somebody informed me they wrote a book with AI. They said, hey, I didn't spend, they were a writer, so they knew what they were doing book-wise, but they utilized the AI tool to actually shortcut writing that book.
Wow. That's sort of like what we're starting to hopefully do.
Well, you never know, right? You never know. And a lot of the things that you want AI to do is actually you want it to become your research analyst, don't you? But again, AI could also be, the potential is out there. And I know for there are some of my former colleagues, leading lights within the IT industry, that believe that AI has a potential to be very, very dangerous. Right?
Isn't the founder of one of the AI companies that started? Isn't he coming out now and saying that not to use it, not to make it publicly available?
Yeah.
Sam Altman or
there is one of the original AI engineers that is basically saying we should stop using AI. We should turn all the machines off for at least a 5-year period so that we get to understand technology, what we want out of technology, and put that into law and practice first before we turn AI models back on.
Absolutely. Like sometimes a pause is good. Hey, but we would have to, if this is something that we want to do, we have to look at what we want to use that pause for.
Yeah. And I'm with, and always have been with, and I stated like in the 90s, I said, hey, AI is inevitable. I didn't know that it was going to, but by 2025, we were going to be knee deep in AI and experimentation on AI. At this stage, I would say it's not more than experimentation. That is it, right? We're trying what we can do with AI, with the hope that it's something going to be better in the future, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that we have to be concerned with AI. First of all, your likeness, Peter, could be created on a video and could be put in with some other type of person and make it implied that you were doing something or other that may not necessarily fit what you do.
Well, one of the things about So here's what I asked AI. Here's what I asked Microsoft Copilot earlier on. Should there be laws to govern the use and applicability of artificial intelligence? Right? And the answer is worth reading in full. Yes, there should be laws to govern the use and applicability of artificial intelligence to ensure ethical, safe, and accountable development across society. As AI technologies become increasingly embedded in daily life, from healthcare to finance to law to enforcement and education, there needs to be legal frameworks to regulate their development and use is critical. Here's why. Prevent harm and discrimination. AI systems can be unintentionally used to perpetrate bias or cause harm if not properly designed or monitored. Laws can help enforce fairness, equality, and human rights and human rights protections. Ensure accountability and transparency. Legal frameworks can require developers and users of AI to disclose how much systems work, who is responsible for how systems work, who's responsible for decisions, and how errors are addressed. And protect privacy and data. AI often relies upon vast amounts of personal data. Privacy laws are essential to ensure to regulate how this is used. Data is collected, used, and stored. In other words, part of what I would say in that regard is that if I want an answer to my problem, one of the first areas that I should be searching isn't out there in the web. It's actually right here in my own machine, on my own servers, and the data that I've already got access to before I even start going out on the web. All right. The next area is promote safe innovation. Regulation doesn't mean stifling progress. It can guide responsible innovation by setting standards for safety, robustness, and oversight. Right? That's basically what AI said. How AI should be governed. Right? And I know that if you were to ask the same question, you'd probably get 3 different answers. Right? But you'd probably get something that focuses on the same type of area. I'd probably get these answers because I've asked these types of questions before.
I find it interesting that you're using AI to ask a question about AI and its regulation.
I did that on purpose. Sure, I could go and ask an IT lawyer the same question, and I'd probably get a different answer. But I thought, hey, let's do something odd and ask AI how AI thinks it should be governed. And I grant that you any member of this audience, and you, Angela, will probably get a different answer than I got.
Also, right? Because we frame a question in a particular way, the AI would answer it, address it.
Yeah. So one of the key factors there, prevent harm and discrimination. Well, if you remember back to the beginning, I said a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Isn't there a lot of similarity there? Prevent harm and discrimination. Word discrimination, I don't know that many people in legal terms in the science fiction community back in the 1950s, I don't know that the word discrimination probably entered much into their vocabulary back then. Right? Didn't think about that as we do today. Next one there was ensure accountability and transparency. And again, in a way, a robot is given orders by human beings, right? And has to obey those orders. So there's an accountability. What we're talking about here is accountability and transparency. So if I'm telling a machine, perform these tasks, ABC, right? It needs to perform those tasks, much in the same way as Isaac Asimov was saying that when we give them orders, they obey those orders, except where those orders will come into conflict with the first law. And I think very, very, isn't that,
It's very straightforward.
Yeah, very straightforward, really, it is. Right? And okay, so the next question here about protecting data, privacy and data. Hey, and again, a robot must protect its own existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Protect privacy and data, right? Same type of thing. In a way, what we say is that we must, at the end of the day, we have to actually, my data, my personal data, your personal data, your company's data, John Smith's company's data is all important, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And
exactly.
Yeah.
And this is very important because sometimes people get nervous about using AI. Is the AI tool that I'm using, is it gathering information about me on what kind of research I'm doing with the data? Is it gathering this information? Is it storing it somewhere, and can others access it? So these are important questions that people need to ask.
Yeah, it's very true. And when you think about it, there's a few things where I took a decision, and so a few weeks ago I took a decision by a tribunal, an order by a tribunal, and dropped it into AI and said, are we allowed to, is there a path by which I can review this decision?
Mm-hmm.
Not only
How did that turn out?
How
did that turn out?
That was interesting because it came out and summarized how it believed that, it said point 23, I believe the adjudicator has outstepped the bounds of their, the bounds of their, how the rules, governed under such and such a rule. And I went looking up I hadn't even thought about some of the rules. And the AI tool was actually looking the rules up for me. I'm like, okay, that's exactly what I need to know, right? And the other interesting thing is about this is that one of the things is that a bit of advice I would say, if you're going to be if you're a professional and you want to actually get something to be writing legal text or something, you kind of need to tell ChatGPT is answer this as if I were the lawyer representing John Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
that's always very interesting because it's almost like AI can deep into the delves of research and bring in information on its own and come up with a compilation of facts.
Well, the interesting thing about it is that.
But are they facts, or are they just something that they're conjuring up somewhere?
Yeah. Well, and that's an interesting question because, that, and as we know, there were a few stories out there about when AI first came out about a year and a half ago, or when first public use of AI about a year and a half ago, that some lawyer wrote a submission to a court, and the AI tool gave a case of X that should exist, right, and another case of Y that should exist, and that was egg on the face for the lawyer because you didn't check whether those cases actually existed.
Yeah, because they call it hallucinations. Okay, and you have to go through these things. First of all, A, does the case exist? And B, is the case applicable to what I am trying to search?
Yeah, exactly. And that's about case law usage anyway. And you see, that's one of the advantages that you get when you get a legal professional is I've had some people come in and they've said, oh, you should be using case, Jones versus Smith, out of Philadelphia, right? And when you look at it, there's an element of Jones versus Smith that is applicable, right? But there's an element that actually is completely irrelevant to the question at hand.
Yeah, and this is very important too, because do you think AI would ever replace lawyers, paralegals?
Well, I can certainly see some people using AI as their research tool. I've got my problem, okay, so any field of law, think about it. There's going to be a person who's going to ask this question. It's like, so, and I'm going to take this completely out of the blue. So, Joey says, I'm thinking about divorce. Says to his AI tool, I'm thinking about divorcing my wife. I own my house at number 52, the Willows. She has paid me X thousand over the years in terms of this. I think she owns this and that and the other assets. Can you come up with a divorce agreement for us?
That would be interesting, although we would really have to fix up a lot of it.
Probably, but you can understand how a person might well be thinking to himself, hey, AI can help me with this.
Yeah.
Right. But
I had somebody told me that, oh, well, I could soon run my own case and take my own case to court using AI. I don't think so. Somehow I don't think so.
And part of the challenge here is that whole question about when I first tried an experiment on AI. So I gave it a complicated legal challenge. We're talking about 18 months ago now. I gave it a complicated legal challenge and said, how would I manage this as a lawyer? And it came back with a whole heap of stuff, and some of the good principles that, there were some absolutely good principles that it was advising we use. But then there was some bad case law involved in it, because it said you should be using this case, right, which proves, and it's like, okay, where is that? Let me look it up on Canly for a moment. Never heard of it. Let me look it up on, let me do a generalized search on Google, which we almost never do. After a number of areas of looking it up, let me do a Google, generalized search on Google, which, as I say, we'd never do. There's not a single incidence of that case.
Yeah, and this is very important. That's what they call case hallucinations. Okay? You need to be very, very carefully where you need to follow through to make sure the case exists, and B, that it is relevant.
Yeah.
Hey, that's not something that goes in Alberta somewhere when you're trying to dig up an Ontario case.
And actually, that's even worse. Is you're picking up a low, a case, for example, in Western Australia, in a tribunal in Western Australia by some unknown adjudicator, at least legally unknown adjudicator, who's got no seniority at all, right? And you're trying to make that as a generally applicable to Ontario law. No, it doesn't work that way, does it?
Yeah, it has to be the way we talked about it before, where it goes through the courts and to the senior courts on down.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very important, because I keep hearing people talk, oh, AI is going to replace you. And I said, it is also going to replace you too. Right? And the thing is, people have to get a handle on it, because it could be a tool, but like any tool, you have to use it for where it is beneficial and put a cap on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is why applicability of regulations is important. This also includes social media, because AI is often used on social media and each of them has their own little tool. Gemini for Google, um, Grok for X, uh, and Copilot for Microsoft. So we really have to look at these things and make sure that what we're using it for is going to be truly helpful. You'll find eventually that some of these AI programs will actually be more useful than others, and will be, and some of them may be more specifically useful for getting your day organized, where they can organize your day very well. Others may be very useful as a research tool. So, this is why it's very important to be very aware of that and what it's being used for.
Well, there was a post I put out on Facebook in relation to AI a few last week sometime, and I said that I was talking about the fact that there was a new feeling out there that AI really didn't care about your tone of voice and whether you were using a friendly or inspiring tone or being brutally vicious and you know, brutal and vicious. It didn't matter. AI didn't really care about the tone of voice. And
Mhm.
there was a general discussion upon that. But one of the other things that I'd noted about AI is that, and it has to be said to some extent true with humans as well. I put out a proposition that all eggs are bad, for example, right? And you don't get an AI solution that actually says we're wrong, Peter. All eggs are not bad. There are certain good eggs, and we can know this by the proposition and talk about the way that eggs are good. No, no, no. What happens if I put in all eggs are bad? The AI is going to agree with me and find reasons why eggs are bad.
Hmm.
And I'm not talking about real eggs. I'm talking metaphorical eggs here, right?
Yep, exactly. So they would have to go through and analyze where it could be considered bad, or arguments for consideration of why it could be bad.
But again, one would also say that if I were to make the same statement out on social media, all eggs were bad. How many people in my circle will argue, no, 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 you're way off the mark, Peter. Not all eggs are bad.
Hmm.
There are good, that there is good in everyone, and that you are completely off the mark. Unfortunately, what happens with many, the people who might believe in my proposition will support me. The people who oppose my proposition will either attack me or ignore me. And probably
Hmm.
the latter, they'll ignore me.
Yeah.
Right. And that's one of the problems that we face. We don't really have critiques anymore. We don't critique anything.
Yeah, this is one of the problems, because there is such thing as having a healthy debate. You're not having a healthy
Yeah.
debate when you're dealing with social media.
Yeah. And for example, it's like, in Canada here, we've got this constant, um, yada yada yada. It's bad, damn horrible liberals. They never do anything for the country. And then of course you got yada yada yada. The damn conservatives never do anything for the country. So if we believe both angles of them, neither political party does a damn thing for the country.
Never did.
I was just going to say that might be a right proposition. That might be the only right proposition that comes up with that in that
And
conversation.
your AI program will say the same thing.
But the point being is that there's many different views upon that. But again, do we need to practice? Do we need to enact laws in order to ensure that AI is going to remain safe?
Yes.
What do you think those laws are?
Well, it really depends on the area we're dealing with it. A lot of people are using artificial intelligence now to screen people looking for work.
Okay.
And
That's
that
bad.
could unfortunately leave a lot of people out that would be good for that job because
But,
either they
but
didn't use a
again,
certain word in their covering letter or perhaps there's certain discriminatory elements to it. It depends.
But again, if I wind the clock back 10 or 20 years, how many recruitment agents looked for certain phrases within recruitment letters and resumes who wouldn't have put you forward when you have absolutely the right experience for the job?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I did, you know, I in my days as an IT recruiter, I actually said, look, I want this and this and this experience to my HR department because I had to go through the HR department.
Oh, yes.
And they said, not to worry, just send these out to your recruiter, you'll be fine. We'll happily help you. So
Yeah.
I said to my to my recruitment agent, I said AI recruiter, I meant recruitment agent. I said to my recruitment agent, so I haven't seen any resumes. Did you send any to, the HR department? Oh, yes, we've sent several to the HR department. Particularly of note is, and we're using the name because I don't remember what his name is Shawn Michaels, right? So Shawn this, has this experience. And I go, okay, telling me that's exactly what I want. So my next phone call was to the HR department. And so I've been told by my recruiter that you have a resume for Shawn Michaels. Oh, yeah, we've got him. I screened him. He's absolutely got none of the requirements that you need. My next question to them is, okay, I don't care what you think. Send me his resume. Right.
Yeah.
So I then send his resume, and 10 minutes later, I'm back on the phone to HR, and I'm saying, you are absolutely, who do you think you are screening these people from me? Right. I'm not allowing you to screen people because you don't know the first thing about what I need as a recruiter, as a hiring manager. And as a specialist IT hiring manager, they didn't know what we needed. They had a guess at the technology that we had, right? But my point is that the company I was working for at the time used Microsoft technology. When I came from a background that also included Oracle, for example, and was absolutely, there's an Oracle person could fit in that job and learn that job and be as up to date as any Microsoft person within 10 days a month. Easy.
Mm-hmm.
But they were screening them out because, oh no, he hasn't got any Microsoft experience. Right?
So how would you use AI, say, in
that?
business?
Sorry, if you were moving that onto AI,
Yeah.
that would actually really complicate the matters.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Because this is where a lot of people are concerned because they apply for jobs and they're afraid of an AI agent that could be used to reject them.
Yeah.
When in fact they have all the qualifications for that job.
They've got all the qualifications. They know what they're talking about. They've got transferable skills that would ideally lock them in place for this particular job. And and hey, if you wave down the alley there, they're kind of 3/4 of a mile away, and they could walk to work.
Yeah. So these things are very ideal when you do that. So how
Yeah.
other ways would a business use AI?
Well, I think the one we've been looking at primarily is about research,
Mm-hmm.
right? Legal research. We do legal research because it's important for us in the legal industry to actually get into and we're researching everything all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cases. We want your history as a client. We want information about you. We want and for example, now that might well be turn out that you've got tuberculosis. but I know nothing about tuberculosis. So now I've got to look it up. And now I'm starting to ask Google questions like, how would tuberculosis impact a 53-year-old woman, white woman from Ontario?
Mm-hmm.
Some of those answers might well come from artificial intelligence, which has accumulated certain data.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now we've got, and whether the question is about a woman with tuberculosis, or what's the best car for my business if I want my salesperson to do 250,000 miles a year.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Because in fact, those are questions that we might well be asking all the time.
Yeah, and where does this information come from that artificial intelligence is picking up and spitting back at you?
A lot of it is coming from the web, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know the trusted Google search. I think it's the worst search engine on the planet, unless you happen to be looking for the local Indian restaurant.
Yeah, or if you work for Google.
Pardon me?
Or if you work for Google.
Yeah, if you're looking for the local Indian restaurant, hey, Indian restaurants near me is probably going to get you good results, enough results that you can now further search. So you go look through and you say, oh, Balti Palace on Lake Street does this and that, and everybody loves this particular dish, but Balti Hut on Geneva Street, everybody's criticizing this particular dish. So I might well want to go to Balti Palace rather than Balti Hut, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same type of food. And one's pushing, what people's conversations. But that's not an AI response. It's more of a response based upon reviews. And Google, that kind of work that we do with Google is always going to be out there. It's not really an AI thing at all, because that actually is typical, it's what reviewers have put into Google.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And as long as
that's an insightful point. The information we work with often stems from the country.
And
oh my God.
Yeah. Phone's listening to you.
Speaking of AI.
And when you think about it, when you think about the review, a lot of the questions I was just about to say, a lot of the questions based upon reviews being genuine. Of course, when reviews are not genuine, different things happen.
It's interesting because I had one of the AI program engines review the reviews of a particular business. I was asking it to review, and they stated that the reviews were not necessarily organic and that appeared to be more contrived.
So, for example, it was like the Balti question that I was saying. So it was more or less copying what was on the menu from the, so Balti Palace. It was copying the words that were on the menu from Balti Palace.
Yep.
It was saying the chicken Balti, whatever. It wasn't really an independent review, but was more or less copying what was on the menu, what the company said about themselves.
Yep, exactly. I'll have it on their website about how it's all chicken finger looking good.
Exactly, that kind of thing. So it used the words. You will find the Balti from Balti Palace, finger licking good. And the finger licking good quote is actually something that is on their website.
Yep.
Right. Whereas I wouldn't necessarily say finger licking good, but I would say, I got me sucking my fingers right to the bone.
Right to the bone, my God.
Well, the point being is, it's that I'm offering a different way to say how delicious it was, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And you and I, your expression about how delicious you find a food product, and my expression about how I find how delicious I find a food product are different. You know, we're going to use different terms, and you know, it's going to be the same for everybody, isn't it?
Yep,
You know?
definitely.
Yeah. So you and I will end up inevitably use different terms, and it is what it is. Now, in terms of, I think AI and the law is something that we've still yet to develop, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Is there a potential for regulations coming up?
Well, I think there is, because every country, and this is something I've been saying since the 90s, we need to put in place regulations on a worldwide basis that thinks about what we need to do from governing an AI and governing systems and, you know, self-developing systems. That's something we needed to have considered 20 years ago.
Yep.
Trouble is, we're behind the times because our AI is outstripping lawmakers.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely. Yeah, there has to be some looking at it. They have to look at what the potential is, and then we have to be able to oversee that potential
And
to make sure it's doing positive things and not negative things.
And part of overseeing that potential in the worst possible scenario, and I don't say that we'll ever necessarily get here, is the need to be able to turn off machines.
Yep.
Right? Because, for example, there was an experiment done by an AI experiment done about, I suppose, 10 years ago now by Microsoft, where it put out an AI agent onto Twitter, as it was called back then, X as it's known now. And that AI agent essentially turned from being, hey, hi, I'm a new guy in the world, teach me about what you want to know, to being a fascist droid. In almost like 48 hours, it went from sweet and innocent to complete and utter fascist in 48 hours.
God. Yeah.
And when you think about it, it's like largely that is based upon who it encounters in the world.
Yep, definitely.
Right? Because that AI droid can be open and accessible at, you know, 24/7, whereas you and I have to go to sleep. And it looks like you need to go to sleep sooner than I do.
Oh, God. We both had long days.
Yeah.
But how did we have, like, how do people feed into AI? Like, do people feed it information?
Well, yes, actually, that is part. Almost everything that you do, like when you're doing a search engine, you know, it's like when you go onto the search engine, it's like, so you're going away, you're at home and you're saying, hey, what's the best chicken dinner, you know, in close to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
It possibly knows that, hey, you're now away in Montreal for the week. The likelihood is that you're going to be asking what's the best chicken dinner while you're in Montreal, right?
Yeah.
You love chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, you want to know about chicken dinner.
Yep.
It may even come up. It might, you know. So the point being is, Google may even, without AI, may even come up and go, "Hey, Angela, I see you're in Montreal. Would you like some chicken dinner?"
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I've had some things where AI interrupted me where I've had to, where I use Uber to get places. And
Yeah.
Uber would just show up automatically on my phone. He says, Uber can pick you up here and get you there at such and such a time. Do you want that? Hey, yes, no.
Yeah.
So if I press yes, it sets itself up and takes me there.
Yeah. So essentially, you know, it possibly detects that there's actually an Uber driver within 2 minutes distance of you and
Mm-hmm.
could send it out right now. And stay there, Angela. I can get you an Uber right now. So
Yep.
that sort of thing is probably pretty good, because otherwise, if you'd said no to that, that driver might be waiting 20 minutes, half an hour for a new job, when
Yep.
he's actually right on your corner, and you haven't even thought about it. You haven't even thought about the need for using Uber right now.
Yeah, exactly. There's just different ways that I've been trying to find out about this, and it's amazing. It's amazing, some of the things.
Well, the thing about that, if you think about it, you're going to use the Uber because you've got to go home later in the day. But whether you go now or in 30 minutes time probably doesn't matter to you. But the fact that your phone suddenly says, "Hey, Angela, it's Uber here. Do you need an Uber now?"
Yeah.
Might actually kind of go, "Okay, why not?" The point. And is that artificial intelligence? I would argue not.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, because it's interesting because it's almost detecting somebody and this individual's waiting or whatever. Hey.
Well, it's putting a car that's within range
Mm-hmm.
together with a person that may actually, typically it's like, it's 8 o'clock now. Angela normally gets an Uber at 8 o'clock. There's a car local. Why don't I ask Angela if that suits her?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what I find fascinating about it. It's almost habituates. So it habituates a lot of things.
But again, let's look at something else. Turn your phone off, bury it in something or other. Hey Google, can you play me whatever? Right.
Mm-hmm.
At the
I
end,
am a text-based AI and cannot play.
there you go. You see,
I heard that one.
You heard that one, right? But if you said, "Can you play me?" Whatever you wanted,
Whatever song you think about, and
a song that you're thinking about right now, I would argue that is not AI per se.
Mm-hmm.
That is just the only element that's got any AI associated with it is the voice interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you're using voice interaction, suddenly you're making a request of a computer through a voice interface. But the request, play me Misty by whoever, right? That's not an artificial intelligence request.
What are some of the cautions, or what are some of the scary things that could happen if we don't control AI?
Well, I actually think I can think of a few. And I turn back to Isaac Asimov, I think, in terms of doing that. There was a case whereby he was talking about a detective story, whereby there was a case whereby somebody got murdered on a planet where not many people live, and the only possible way that person could have gotten murdered was if the robot did it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but of course the robot couldn't do it because of these three laws of robotics.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so the potential here that I see about AI is the worst potential that I see about AI is, well, we can fly this spaceship home, but we're going to need to kill one of the crew in order to get it home, because we need air in order to get everybody home. We're not going to run out of air before we get home.
Oh God!
That kind of thing.
And which one do we kill?
Yeah, and that's the kind of and applying that, even if you like, to war type scenarios. Do we really want to be using AI in a war type scenario?
Nope.
Right.
It's almost like when people were talking about those self-driving cars, where if there was a time when there was a safety risk, should I avoid killing two people who are pedestrians, or should I just smash the car into the wall?
and actually the whole
Without emotion.
yeah, that's an interesting question, because again, it's not necessarily an AI type of response, right? In some respects, there is an AI element to the self-driving car, and that is that, hey, I need to get, hey car, take me home, right? Hey car, take me home.
People would have remembered
I'm completely drunk. I'm completely drunk. Just had what I just had 15 beers.
Michael, hey, and how this car by the name of it was Knight Rider, and he would say, "Okay, and where am I going?" He says, "Okay, Michael, you got to go here." And Michael was some kind of super police officer or something, but this car knew what it was doing. It would communicate with him, right? So
well, it would be nice. It would be nice to think that we can use an AI command. Is I know I'm 3 miles from you, car, but can you please come here?
Yeah, could you please come back to the office and park at the back so that I can get out there, even though someone else is using your car or borrowing it.
Yeah, it's 3 miles away in my wife's car park or something. Wife's office car park. Hey, car, I need you right now.
Yep.
Right.
That would be very much anarchy.
Think about how disappointed she will be when the car's not there, and she comes out and goes, "Where the hell's the car?"
Yeah.
And she's calling the police to say, "Hey, somebody stole the car." Certain things you probably don't want to be doing, eh?
Yep, exactly.
Because in fact, a car should be there when you leave it in the car park, shouldn't it?
Yeah. So the only thing that I would say is that before we really deal with artificial intelligence, is that we have to deal with natural stupidity.
That's true. Well, and in fact, actually, part of the problem is you've got the blind leading the blind. If you've got the natural stupid person telling AI to do something.
Yeah, exactly. And this is ever more need to educate and to regulate and to make sure the right people are making the rules and enforcing them.
Yeah. And the thing is that I love the concept of AI, but I think we've got a whole probably if you'd have had an interview with me about 15 years ago, I'd have said we're probably about 30 years from having AI. In fact, it's probably not going to really happen in my lifetime. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're 15 years further on down the line. I'm going, okay, so AI is a pretty nifty tool, isn't it? I can use it for this and the other. And what am I going to do? What am I going to do with it for the rest of my lifetime?
Yeah. Let's see what we can do. And I think it's going to be an interesting development.
But again, to put that into perspective, how would we govern? So we set up a set of rules, and the government sets up particular rules. There are laws, and let's take for example the 3 laws of robotics. An AI may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Right? Fairly reasonable rule. Right? Yep. Second one, an AI must obey the orders given to it by human beings, except where such orders conflict with the first law. Okay? Mm-hmm. Granted. So I am not therefore allowed to instruct an AI to take the all the air out of the room that you're sitting in. Think about it, right? Right? And a robot must an AI must protect its own existence as long as such protection doesn't conflict with the first and second laws. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now this is where it starts to become quite tricky. AI, you're disobeying the laws of artificial intelligence, turn yourself off. No, I'm not going to do so.
So there could be an imperpetuous little kid, a 2-year-old, acting out as AI.
And can you imagine going to that room? It's it's in the building on 54 Maple 54 James Street. So you go to 54 James Street, use your card, which allows you into any office building on the planet, and it turns red. You're not permitted in. So eventually you can find the keys, you figure your way in, you get into the place, and now you use your card, which allows you to any room in that thing, and it turns red. It doesn't let you into the room. So how are you going to turn that machine off?
Oh God.
You see the problem?
Yep.
And that's what goes through some of the AI inventors' minds in terms of how would you turn a rogue AI off?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if it starts getting out of control, how do you put it back into control?
Yeah.
Taking that genie out of the bottle.
Yeah. And the other flip side to that, of course, is that like the virus, hey, here's my email, Angela. Here's my email full of viruses. Please open it, Angela. And of course, open it. Oh, Peter sent me an email wishing me happy birthday. And now, of course, Angela's spreading viruses all over her company computers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's essentially the same way that an AI can spread itself out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, how would you, and this has been one of the perceived challenges, how would you actually put a stop to that rogue AI?
Very difficult. You'd almost have to have another form of AI to put that out.
Yeah. Now you're talking about AI guardians, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's sort of the same thing like you have with people who are hacking computers for harm, but then you have somebody else who could kind of get into where they're hacking and correct it and get rid of that hacker.
Yeah. And this is where, of course, the Asimov's zeroth law comes into play, which is an AI cannot harm humankind or through inaction allow humankind to come to harm, with the other three laws being, the other laws being subordinate to that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So one has to not only consider the life of one individual, but the life of whole of humanity. And again, the whole of humanity might actually be that in order to allow the whole of humanity to continue to survive, you may have to kill one individual.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that, that's a typical rule. That's a conundrum that I don't know that we are well sorted to understand.
I think so too.
Right. I'm not sure that, I have my views upon that conundrum, but I'm not sure that I know how we would solve that issue.
Exactly. These are very important questions. And I think it's going to be more than what we talked about now, but it's going to be an ongoing issue.
Yeah. And, how do you get to that? And, at the end of the day, I think we can all agree that AI needs some form of legal regulation. And how do you then turn from that legal regulation to safely turning an AI off?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because at the end of the day, no AI is more important than humanity.
Yep. Because I think that should always be subordinate to humans.
Yeah.
And people who are responsible and who are not going to abuse it.
But again, then we look at people and irresponsibility of people, and we can see how self-righteous people. We're not going to name any names.
Yeah, I can see. I can identify some. They do names.
Yeah, and there are self-righteous people out there that it's like, well, I'm Mr. Perfect. Everything that I believe in should come to pass. And Angela, I don't know who you are, but I don't think that what you're saying meets my criteria. Shut your mouth or I will make it shut for you, type thing. That kind of attitude. That kind of attitude is something we have too prevalent in our society, don't we?
Yep, exactly. That's why it's a very testy subject about who should be responsible and to make sure that the wrong ones don't get hold of it.
But I'll tell you one thing. I volunteer to be the chairman of the not permitting to produce ugly cars committee.
Oh yes,
Worldwide
office on Friday. What we saw in front of our office on Friday. Oh my God!
Ugly cars being produced, because then we don't have that horrible ugly car that was outside our building last week.
Yeah, the Cybertruck. Elon Musk Cybertruck.
I mean, there's some ugly cars out there, but that takes the ugliness prize of the century, doesn't it?
Yep.
And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, why do we allow? Why did the ugliness committee permit that one on the road?
Yep. It's sort of like people building a camel by committee. They're trying to build a horse by committee, but it turned out to be a camel. But I think they're trying to build a car.
my Arabic friends tell me that camels are beautiful.
Oh, probably.
Yeah. But to you and I, they're ugly, aren't they?
Yep.
Right. And that's part of the problem that we face.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But I think that this is more, this has been an interesting topic, and I've done a lot of research. I've got my opinions about AI, and I'm sure most people have. Mm-hmm. And you can tell me I'm a fool if you wish.
And absolutely. We feel welcome to write us. Yeah. Send us some stuff if you really want to talk about AI, because I'm really interested in hearing from people.
But at the moment, I think that AI is more an experiment. I would like to see, there's a few tools out there. I'm keeping an eye on the tools that are available. I would say that the tools that are being made available for general use are heading in the wrong direction. Most of them are marketing tools. Okay, yeah, sure. I'm in business. I need marketing. But very few of them cover the ground that I think I need most help in, which is I need administrative assistance, and I need tools that make sure that automate. Like, for example, I get a new email in, I want it to pop things on my calendar.
Yeah.
And it needs to be done automatically, even if it's like, hey, follow me, even if I'm doing a follow me type exercise, right? I do a follow me type exercise, open the email, pop it up, ring a certain area and say, this is important information. Now create my diary entry, 14th of December, 14th of December, 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
10 a.m. Now pop all the information about this in the 10 a.m. slot. Oh, and by the way, that also means that I've got to do something on, not only do I have to actually put the appointment in on the 14th of December, but it means on the 7th of December, I've got to do certain things.
Yeah, exactly. Like time frames, knowing about the time frames and helping us prepare for that.
Or actually making sure that I'm prepared for that meeting on the 14th of December.
Yep. Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. Like the work I did today and showing up today. We learned something.
Absolutely. That was a joy today.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Okay. So so let's finish this topic. And if you need to contact Invictus Legal LLP, you can do so at 905-688-5598. Email Angela via angela@weareinvictus.legal, or myself via peter@weareinvictus.legal, or use our website, weareinvictus.legal. And going on, Angela, your part.
Yes, what you heard in this program here is not legal advice. It's nothing that you could take to your doctor or your lawyer and say, hey, I just heard this on Spin Legal, so it's got to be right. You know, we're not the Bible. We're not the internet. We're not Google University. What we are is this is a discussion program, and we discuss items of interest that are coming up to do with what it is. Oh, God.
So
Somebody came into our show.
just popped up on here. What do you think about scam with AI when the internet connection shows up? Scammers start doing their job. Now with the AI tools, I can be whatever I want and scam people. That actually, unfortunately,
That is unfortunately happening, and I think that that's really a major part of why AI needs to be regulated.
Yeah,
so that kind of stuff can be identified and taken out.
Yeah. In fact, probably that's the worst aspect about AI. And thankfully, I've not heard of any AI scams like that by now. But I'm unsure. I'm absolutely certain they will come.
Yeah, and we have to be on the lookout for it. Like if you have your grandson and you have a grandson, and then the AI voice sounds exactly like your grandson. You know, got to be careful.
And that hey grandma, I've been picked up by the Peruvian police who want to put me in prison. Can you send me $15,000 so that I can get a lawyer?
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, your grandson is tucked up in bed in Alberta.
Yep. So this is where people have to be very extra vigilant. Even if it sounds like your grandson or whatever, hang up the phone, call your grandson. Find out if they're okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and the same rules, whether it's a person calling or an AI calling, protect yourself. So good question. Thank you. And I would say basically I'm glad you asked the question, and that is one of the potential dangers of AI.
Yeah, because this is where a lot of us have to be really, really careful. But thanks for asking that question, because there's going to be scams and things like that, and we have to be warning people about the scams.
Yep. All right. And have a great day, everybody. And we will see you again next week. And I think next week we're going to be looking at hunting and gaming offences.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Hunting for what?
Exactly. Hunting and gaming offences in Ontario.
Oh, and gaming offences. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you